everybody, and welcome to Going Public. I am Harry McCullough. We're talking about the Terrebonne Levee District today, and thankfully, we're not talking about a storm that's headed our way. And I mean, our thoughts and prayers are with what's going on in Florida right now. Sure. But yeah, thank goodness it's not us. Of course, Tony Alford is the Levee Board President. Trey Middleton is the Grand Isle Shipyard Construction Manager, and Angela Hidalgo is the manager for the Levee District. So, guys, thanks for being with us. And like I said, you know, look, we've had our share, so we're all thinking about what's going on in Florida right now.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So an update on the Hurricane Ida overview. So tell me about that.
Well, you know, of course, there's been a lot of work since we went through that. A lot of repairs. Trey and Angela can fill us in on a lot of that. We've got some slides, but, you know, a lot of things have taken place. A lot of improvements. Still have a lot of improvements to go. Of course, we're working with the Corps of Engineers now. We signed that agreement with them, and of course, I knew it was coming, but it's not like doing some of the things with just us and the state any longer.
Right.
They're a lot slower, and I don't mind saying that.
Sure.
And we're trying to deal with it and trying to push things a little further along.
Well, look, at the same time, we're trying to get things right here. I know St. Charles is trying to put in a levee now to block, you know, the Lake Pontchartrain. It looks like the same thing is going to happen in St. Tammany Parish. They want to put in levee, you know, protection there. Sure. So everybody's is trying to get a bite of this apple. Sure.
And you know, lots being said. Of course, sea level rise and subsidence and all. You know, the good thing, as long as, you know, we can get Washington to back us, and they seem to be backing us now. We finally got $380 million, right, which is a lot of money. We've put $1.5 billion on the ground, thanks to the state and the local taxpayers. Mm-hmm. Let's give credit to the people who made it happen. The local taxpayers have been so involved. But money can fix a lot of these situations that we run into, you know, but it takes a lot of it.
Right, without a doubt. So, Trey, we're now looking at 13 months since Ida, and that's where we're going to look at some of the things we've been doing since Hurricane Ida, right?
Correct. So most of the structural work, as far as the floodgates and stuff like that, is pretty much completed at this time. Now, the focus has shifted more to the levees that sustain damages from the storm and from the debris and the debris removal operations. So that's the kind of the focus now. The structures are back operational, and that was the main goal, you know, getting those back. So.
Okay, well, Angela, and you guys fill in, and we'll go through the slideshow.
Sure. We have put together a presentation for you, and it includes a lot of pictures of damages and the recovery efforts that we've done over the past year. And some cost slides, of course, to show you how much damage we actually did sustain. All right. So if you want to
let's take a look. And we can do a lot of work when we're not in cones anymore, right?
Yeah,
we were in 7 cones a year before, and obviously a real big one last year.
Right. I love seeing this slide, and it shows you all the projects and how far we've come with the levee system. And again, thanks to the people of Terrebonne Parish and Lafourche, St. Mary, you know, we've pushed together as a region, and look at what we've accomplished. You know, it's amazing when we get the Corps of Engineers, or we get OMB that comes in, and Angela can testify to this, Trey can. You know, we got all these pictures of these projects all around the room, and they are just blown away when they come in and see what the state and local people have done with these projects.
All right, so let's go to the next one, and it's the overall cost.
So after Hurricane Ida, our total cost of damages went over $41 million. We did have insurance on a lot of the structures, and we did collect over $7 million of insurance reimbursements for some of those damages. We have over $4 million we spent for debris removal, $22.5 million for floodgate repairs, $11 million for levee repairs, and then other costs associated with recovery is about $2.5 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the completed projects, as we continue on here.
We've done debris removal along all the levees and floodgates, and you'll see some pictures of that next. We have some Reach L levee breach repair work that we've done, and then the floodgates, we repaired Humboldt Canal, Bush Canal, Placid Canal, and then the big Bubba Dove floodgate in the Homa Navigation Canal channel. And included in that was initial emergency repair work and as well as some emergency dry dock work that needed to be performed after we had it back in place. And then some repairs at the Cocodry Floodgate by Petit Caillou.
And again, decent weather to get a lot of these projects, so, but that's a lot of work
a lot
in
of
one
work.
year.
There's been a lot of rain this
Yeah,
year,
yeah,
too.
well, that's
Yeah.
true, yeah.
So right here, you can see the debris that was all on the inside of the system. So the picture you're looking at, most of these pictures you're gonna see, you're looking from the outside in. And the debris is typically on the outside.
Right.
But because of the reverse head and that strong north wind, you know, for what, hours, 8 hours of north
right.
wind, that's what caused all this. So
Yeah.
typically, they're cleaning debris up on the outside of the levee. Well, here, you had to clean debris up on the inside of the levee, which means you had a lot more non-vegetative debris. So it wasn't just marsh grass and things like that. It was people's roofs
Right.
and just all kinds of stuff that, you know, you wouldn't typically have. So here's H3 levee. So this is down in Cocodry. This is one of the levees in Cocodry. H is broken up into 3 segments. And again, you can see the debris. This is the Placid Canal floodgate. So this is in between Reach H2 and H3 in Cocodry.
And you know, when you look at that, the ideal situation would have been, if we'd have, of course, if we'd have known what this storm was gonna do, we'd have left all the floodgates open.
Right.
You had a north
Right.
wind
Yeah.
the whole time. Problem is,
Right.
you know, of course,
Talking 20 miles maybe, yeah.
built these floodgates for about 1/5 of the cost to have a sector gate in place. The downside to this, once you close them, it's a lot to close them. And once you close them, they're closed. Nobody can go out there during the storm and open them up because we need them open.
Right.
So that's the double-edged sword.
Yeah, and the way it came in, right along the parish line right there, I mean,
Right.
like I say, either way,
Right.
you could have been
You
a
you
totally
had to
different
close 'em.
story,
Yeah,
right?
you had to close them.
But at least you didn't have, you know.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Much better situation.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, so here's the H2 then.
Right, so this is H2 levee. You can see the trawl boats that are on the levee. There's 3 of them in that one picture. Now, those are still there. They're part of a project that starts up first of the month to get those big items off. But the plan was the initial plan was to get all the small debris and all the grass and stuff like that off the levee.
Sure. How do you get boats out like that?
Drag them.
Put a winch and
You
drag?
can put them on airbags and roll them.
Okay.
You can, depending on the size.
And it doesn't mess up the levee? Or which way you go,
Well, they have
over the
to-
levee or the other way?
No, that these boats are all on the inside of the levee, so they'll just take it and drag it right back into the bayou.
I got you.
Yep.
I got you. So, yeah, that's good. So, as we continue with debris removal, Bayou Petit Caillou floodgate. You can
Correct.
see that, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So this is almost, I guess, one of the most southern floodgates in the system in Cocodry. And as you can see, the debris and all that, it's all on the inside. And the floodgate itself was all inundated with debris, and it damaged all the electrical components. You know, this is one of the newer floodgates, which has a lot more automation and stuff like that, where there's a lot less mechanical moving parts. But
Big flow tubes
Yeah.
go through this barge right here. It was the first one that we made like that.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is, Lake Boudreaux stacked up in that corner.
Oh,
and
yeah.
those, you know, you can only flow out so much fast enough, and it just, you know, that's why that water stacked up.
Oh, yeah.
From Lake Boudreaux, just basically stacked up in that corner, and we're looking for ways to take care of that. And Trey and I were just talking. We're trying to fix it where you can open up that gate that cars drive through, and maybe if that happened again, it would be a little
bit,
better to get that water out.
Right.
But another
Well,
something
yeah, how do you do that
that
in the
nobody
middle
ever
of a storm
prepared
like
for,
that?
right?
You know,
Yeah.
but
You know?
yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, leaky levees, we've heard that term before, but
You look at models and you look at if this happened or that happened, the Corps looks it over and this and that, and nobody's saying, well, God, that whole lake's gonna move over in this corner. It was just never thought of, like that would happen, you know?
right. Oh, well, you know, we've seen that so much with Lake Pontchartrain too. We always see the Mandeville, Madisonville area. When you get a storm coming in that way,
Yeah.
it pushes it all up and that.
Right.
It's the same thing here, depending on which way the wind goes. And depending on what happens in Tampa, we may see that really bring into the Tampa, all that water. So
Sure.
it just depends on where these storms go, man.
Always challenges.
Always something. So let's look at a couple more before we take our break. The Reach L levee.
So this is a levee section that's in towards LaRose. It ties into the levee system over there. So this is actually in Lafourche Parish, but Terrebonne Levee District has taken over this.
Yeah, well, while we built K, we built the floodgate, and so what we did, Lafourche sort of had their hands full. We basically went to the CPRA and took this over from them, and we're in the process. The contract's issued. We tried to plug the holes before hurricane season, which they've done a great job of, and so now we're underway with the contract, building that levee. Since
Yeah.
we were doing everything up to Lafourche, I think it works out a lot better.
Yeah, and you guys have a good history of working together
Yeah,
for this too.
sure.
So that's real important.
Sure.
So, like I say, this hurricane season's not over yet, but it's been a good catch up, right? I mean, the year before had to be almost as bad with all the times we were in the cones, right?
Yeah.
So, again, Mother Nature, always nothing to play with, for sure.
Crazy.
So, look, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about some of the way heroic efforts to get it back fixed, talking about the Bubba Dove and the way that gate was on the wrong side of things, and the reinforcements to make it ready for this hurricane season. All right, we'll take a break. We'll be back with more Going Public right after this.
Sea Level Construction is a heavy civil contractor that provides turnkey services for the industrial and marine industries. From building large-scale infrastructure to installing the foundation for expansion projects, Sea Level and its family of companies offer a wide range of capabilities including driven piles, drill deep foundations, structural fabrication, structural concrete, marine construction, barge maintenance and repair, site work development, heavy equipment repair services, and electrical services. Call Sea Level Construction to set the foundations for your next big project.
In South Louisiana, storms are a way of life. Every storm poses a different threat, whether from flooding or hurricane-force winds. At All South Consulting Engineers, we help protect our people from these disasters. Before a storm, we work with our leaders to prevent catastrophic damage. After the storm, we help get the resources needed for rebuilding. We have helped our cities, parishes, and school boards recover over $2 billion to rebuild our community. We'll be here for the next one.
Delta Coast Consultants is a full-service professional engineering and surveying firm, providing planning, design, and management on a variety of projects. We specialize in flood protection, coastal restoration, marine construction, and municipal infrastructure. We also provide design and surveying services for residential and commercial developments. We are proud of our role in the Morganza to the Gulf Hurricane Protection Project, providing program management services to the Terrebonne Levee and Conservation District. Visit our website at deltacoastllc.com or call us at 985-655-3100.
A new company with a lot of history. GIS Engineering has rapidly grown its brand around an experienced team of professionals. GIS Engineering is a full-service planning, engineering, procurement, and construction management company specializing in coastal protection and restoration, upstream and downstream industrial, and transportation infrastructure projects. Putting people first, GIS Engineering, a new company with a lot of history.
Everybody, welcome back to Going Public. I am Harry McCullough. We're talking about the Terrebonne Levee District. Tony Alford is the board president. Trey Middleton is the Grand Isle Shipyard construction manager, and Angela Hidalgo is the manager for the Levee District. So thanks so much for being here. Guys, let's continue. And I guess, Trey, we were talking about Reach L and the levee construction and an overview of that, and I guess that's where we'll pick it up.
Right. So Reach L again in LaRose. It's on the eastern end of the system, and it's the last levee segment on that end to be constructed. And during Ida, the borrow pit area was an isolated area, and the levee breached, and the whole area above where on the map where it says completed levee, that's borrow pit, and the levee breached and it filled up. So there was a lot of pumping to do, a lot of dewatering, and a lot of levee repairs because they had to get that back in operation because that pit was the source of the material to fix that levee segment that's in red.
I see. So as we go to the next one, we'll see the progress of what's happening, right?
Right, so that's Reach L. What you see in the distance is the borrow pit area, and that's Reach L working its way westward.
I see. So Humble Canal is next, and the floodgate repairs here as well.
Right, so Humble Canal was one of the ones that broke free. So there's two that broke free. Humble Canal was one of them. As you can see in the photos there, the top left corner was what it looked like after Ida. And then you could see the next photo, the next two, where it's separated from the structure. So it broke, the pins broke, the pivot arm broke. Actually, some piles failed underneath it as well. It was still sunk. They were actually able to use its own onboard pumping system to get it up. And then you could see it in the picture separated from the structure. You could see the mud all over it from where it was buried underwater. And then all the work that got done to get it right. But the last picture in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see that that's it back in place and repaired.
It's ready to go. That's amazing. Same with the HNC, and this was a big undertaking as well, right?
Right, so the H&C, the top left-hand corner, you can see what it looked like the day after Ida. I mean, that was 50 to 70 feet broke away from the structure. The pins peeled up. They ripped the side shell, which caused holes in the barge. It was still full of water, and then the pivot arm broke, and it broke off and slid down the pivot pile. But you can see that the cable's still attached. So basically what happened was the brakes failed on the winch at that point, and it slid back, still on the bottom. So it had to be salvaged. There was divers plugging holes, pumping water, just constantly. We were using portable pumps in addition to its own onboard pumping system, 2 centrifugal pumps, two 16-inch pumps.
And this was still during hurricane season.
Still
so
during hurricane
it was
season.
an urgency, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
You did this in 3 weeks?
3 weeks. 3 weeks from the picture in the top left-hand corner the day after Ida to what it looked like after it was reinstalled. And I'd like to give a big shout out to Sea Level for the
Yeah,
work that they
did a great
did
job.
in that 3 weeks with no power, no cell service.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
no
right.
anything.
Yeah, we didn't have it. It was months.
Knocking on people's doors, getting people to come to work, and it was a feat. And
In a company by the name of GIS. Trey and,
Right,
and,
right.
and
And
those
everybody,
guys
and you got all
everybody involved.
employees dealing with their own
Mitch
homes,
Moore,
right?
correct,
Yeah.
correct,
did a great
correct.
job.
Everybody involved did a very outstanding job.
Yeah, no, that was the major part of it, to
Yeah.
find somebody who could work, but they're also dealing with their own deal at their house, so that's
Right.
incredible.
Yeah.
So you did a dry dock of the Bubba Dove.
Correct. Afterwards, after the hurricane season, we put out a project to dry dock it. There was still some work that had to be done. Obviously, it was band-aided and put back together to work for the rest of hurricane season. But there needed to be some stuff done. So you could see in this picture, actually right here, the pivot arm had some improvements done to it to try to keep it from peeling off again like it did before. The locking pins were stiffened. A lot of interior structural work to increase its capability of withstanding a reverse head.
Right, yeah, amazing. And then the next picture, it will show, I guess, the entire thing and putting it back in place.
Right. So that was earlier this year, just right at the start of hurricane season.
And that middle one at the bottom in the middle, that's the pin you're talking about?
That's the interior truss frame. So that's what was installed. The new locking pins are attached to that. And it just allows the forces to be distributed amongst the barge and all its structural members instead of isolated to one point.
And Harry, we talked a little bit about what's coming, and this thing's going to basically be closed, and the lock is going to be right there.
Right.
What's going to be so awesome about that lock is, of course, even with a strong south wind right now, you still get flooding in Dulac, you get flooding in Dularge, because you can't open and close that floodgate all the time. With that lock, that's going to stop all these areas that don't have a deal put in place, like Chauvin and who else, and Terrebonne.
Right.
They don't have their own little system, so this will stop all those areas from flooding with that south wind.
Yeah, we really saw that, I guess, Rita, was the first time the storm hits 120 miles away and we flood more.
But
for
you know,
that.
even without a storm,
That's
You
what I'm
know, you
saying.
get
Not even
significant-
so now just a south
even
wind.
just a
Right.
significant south wind
For a
and
couple
people get
days, right.
water in their yards, right? Well, that's not going to happen with this
Yeah.
lock.
No,
So that's
you
gonna
can
great.
be in town and go, ooh, somebody's getting it, the
Yeah.
water, because you can just feel
Right.
it, you know, when you get those strong south winds, for sure.
Yeah,
So,
sometimes upwards of 3 feet.
Yeah.
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So, no, that's gonna make a complete difference. And when will that go in?
We're going to
3
be,
years?
we think about 3 years will be complete. We're in the second phase right now. And of course, all that money, that's from what they call the BP spill money.
Right.
And so that's, be $420 million or so to build this project, and it was paid for by BP.
But it's
You
gonna
know,
make
from the
a
spill.
big difference,
it's gonna be great.
for all of those communities,
Yeah.
for sure. So, let's go back to Petit Caillou, and it's the Cocodry Floodgating. Right?
Right, so this is on the Cocodry end. As you can see in the bottom, there's that roller gate that goes across the road. Believe it or not, there's a road there. It's not just marsh grass and debris, but there's a road there. And the floodgate itself didn't have any real structural damages, but there was a lot of mechanical and electrical damages. This is one of the more automated floodgates. With automation comes electrical components and submersible pumps and all this kind of stuff that have to have a large amount of power to run, and just water inundation. This particular site had a +9.5 on the inside and a -4 on the outside. So 13.5 feet of reverse head
Yeah.
at this location. So everything on deck was completely
Just
underwater.
nuts, though. But I've never been on this side of the storm that had that much force.
Right.
Even close.
Yeah.
As close as never seen a north wind like that with any storm. Ever.
Unbelievable.
And what,
And-
20 miles as the crow flies?
Right.
15 foot of storm
Right.
surge,
Right.
17 foot,
Just-
whatever the windows
Just
are.
a crazy north wind. That's a different storm. for
Well,
sure.
and the way it happened, thank goodness, of course, South Lafourche is ready for it. They've got their 18-foot levees.
Yeah.
Us, on the other hand, people don't realize this, Harry. The Corps of Engineers built the first 13 feet of South Lafourche levee.
Right.
And then they added on 5 feet. Well, we had to do it
Start-
backwards.
right.
Yeah.
Start
We're
from below
building
sea
the
level.
bottom part and hoping that the Corps comes in to help us finish from the, up to the
Right,
top.
right.
So crazy. But their levees were ready. And that's what we keep telling the Corps of Engineers. Thank goodness. What a great investment y'all made in New Orleans and South Lafourche. Look at what it's stopped from happening. Of course, it was still bad, the wind, but imagine with the water and the wind on top
yeah.
of that over there, what would have happened.
No doubt, for sure. So, Angela, you want to take a look at the list of projects in construction now?
Yeah, so right now we're actively working our insurance and FEMA claims through some coordination and management with our consultants. We have repairs along H1 levee, H2 and H3 levee repairs, Bayou Petit Caillou vessel removals, and then our floodgate channel riprap repairs, and then the Bayou Petit Caillou Cocodry Floodgate, also working on those emergency repairs. And we're also elevating some of that equipment to mitigate for some potential damages from another type of reverse head situation.
Yeah. So, done a lot of work still to come. So here's the map of Reach H levee segments.
Right, so the furthest end is the Cocodry end. You have Reach H1, this is the teal colored one, and then Reach H2 and H3, the other two segments, and they're all being repaired from the hurricane.
Okay. So a closer look at the next slide.
Right, so this is Reach H1. This is looking from the highway at the floodgate, looking west. The first 1,500 feet or so is up to grade, and now they're continuing on working westward.
As we continue on, 2 and 3, H2, H3.
Right, so this is H2 and H3. They're actually starting on the lower end of Cocodry, so it's on the other side of the floodgate, working north, and they're doing 1,000-foot day. This is an interesting levee because it's an island levee. The only way to get to it is by boat. The only way to get material out there is by barge. So it's a very time-consuming effort to get this material out there. That to bring it to a lay-down yard, load it onto a barge, bring it to the site, to the levee, offload it, and then move it again. So it's a lot of moving of material. But
Right. You guys have been busy, man. So,
Been busy.
like I say, look, when I saw the storm in Cuba, I'm like, it's coming right at us again,
Yeah,
right? I'm thinking
I
Lake
know.
Charles, right?
Yeah.
And so we were real fortunate so far. And look,
Right.
it's nice to have some nice weather
We're
through
getting
here.
close.
Get a
Couple
few
more
more of
cool
these
fronts,
fronts. That helps out a lot. But so what's next? I mean, what are you doing now? Just continue?
Well,
it?
we're,
Oh,
we're
you
gonna-
just saw it, right?
We're gonna continue to push forward. You know, we're currently building, L, which again attaches to Lafourche. We're trying to bring the 12-foot levees up to 15 feet, and we're in the process of doing that all on the east side. And then trying to get the Corps to agree
Right.
with us.
Get them going.
To get the last 4.5 miles under construction, the only last 4.5 miles that we don't have under construction.
Right.
Get it going.
All right, well,
So,
Tony, Trey, Angela, thank you guys so much for joining us. It was very enlightening today.
Thank you, Harry.
Thank you.
That's Going Public for this week. I'm Harry McCullough. We'll see you next time.